Good evening, everybody. How are you? This is Enrique of Spanish United. Tonight we have a very special guest. Would you be kind enough to introduce yourself to the audience?
Yes, my name is Asmund Offernes, and as you can hear, I'm not a native English speaker. I'm a Norwegian. So I work in the United States, in California, as a pastor in the Norwegian Siemens Church. So we run a church for Norwegians and their descendants, and basically we try to use the Norwegian language and take care of all Norwegians as immigrants or visitors to America.
Perfect. Tusen tak for coming on the show, Usman. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's a pleasure.
Anyway, I had gone to the Seaman Church about a few months ago when there was the Norse Christmas. My
Yeah.
fiance, who is Norwegian, she told me to go, and I thought it was a very excellent experience. I felt welcomed. I myself became Lutheran about a year ago, and I'm learning a lot about the Norwegian culture, the Norwegian people, and I think Norway is one of those countries that does a lot in the world, but a lot of people don't know about. And especially in the United States, I have an organization which is Spanish United, which is a civil rights organization for Hispanics. And one things that I do with my organization is that I try to build bridges between different groups to, promote understanding, harmony, and dialogue. So, in the time that you've been here in the United States, what has been your interactions with Hispanic people in terms of the church, and how is the Norwegian experience with Hispanic people in the state of California in the San Pedro area?
Well, there are lots of Hispanics living here, and Spanish is like um, it's a language that we hear and read a lot. As a Norwegian, we up with English as our second language, and we don't speak that much Spanish. My relationship to Spanish comes mainly from going on holidays to Spain, and I love Spanish language and culture and food and football. Um, but the traditional tie between Norwegian culture and Hispanic culture is not so strong. Although coming to America, it's also a feeling that we are in a way united, because we are we can feel sometimes a little bit alienated by mainstream American culture, and I feel a little bit different. In church, we have someone who works there, and he comes from El Salvador, and we have become good friends. So my experience is very positive. But then again, me and my wife went to the fish market in San Pedro. It's like a restaurant on the seashore, and that was a little bit more scary, or what do I call it, challenging. But it happened one of the first days when we came here, so maybe I have become more used to it by now. But I remember that we thought about it as a little bit overwhelming.
Hmm. So I wanted to ask you, in your experience living in the United States, as far as Hispanic is concerned, have you seen like stereotypes? Because a lot of Hispanics tend to associate anyone that is, white American or white European as being the same. So it's like, have you ever had to tell people that no, I'm not American, I am an immigrant like you are, or whatever? Because sometimes because of stereotypes. People tend to assume everyone being the same when they're actually different. It's like with many people like from Africa or many people like from Latin America. It's like in Latin America, it's different countries, but most people in America assume that everyone is from Mexico because the dominant people that immigrate here are from Mexico. So, from your experience living in the States, has that ever happened to you or anyone from your community?
Um, I'm not sure because um, I only lived here about 3 months, so I'm very new to the whole California experience. I haven't thought about it. I but I've tried to I've tried to how do I say it? I've tried to not be too much influenced by stereotypes myself.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard, because if we got some furniture delivered to our house, and there were 3 Hispanics speaking Spanish, extremely friendly and extremely nice. But it was like, yeah, of course they work in transport, they bring our goods, and then I felt like a typical rich white man,
Mm-hmm.
having people run errands for me,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a role I'm not very comfortable with.
Mm-hmm. So you've only been in America for 3 months, so wow, it's fairly recent. So
Yeah.
wow, I see. I was kind of surprised that there was a Norwegian church that's sponsored by the Church of Norway. So it's like, how long has the Seaman Church been around? Is it like been around for a century, a couple of years, that type of thing? The audience is curious to know.
It- yeah, it started as like a Siemens mission in 1864,
Mm-hmm.
and it was to try to help Norwegian sailors everywhere coming abroad, and try to get them to do other things than just get drunk and get into trouble. But then, and after 100 years of this, the number of Norwegian sailors has dropped a lot. So we don't have that many sailors anymore, and the church has changed with it. So now the church is like, it's a kind of a Norwegian embassy
Mm-hmm.
where you can come and find a little piece of home away from home. But still we have um, tried to maintain our identity as church. So we're still a Christian community, but it's extremely open
Mm-hmm.
to all visitors. And we find some people also come to us that are not Norwegian. They just like to be in that kind of atmosphere, this
Mm-hmm.
open and friendly environment.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, I
yeah,
Yeah, I think it's very important for for people to have open engagement, because part of the reason why we have racism in the United States, probably in your countries not so much, but America's notorious for it, is that people are not open to learning about each other. And I feel that if people start to learn about each other's culture, learn about each other's identities, I think people would able to establish a type of what do you call that? A form of a common cause, and people could say, you know what, we may have our cultural, linguistic, or ethnic differences, but our basic necessities are the same. So I feel that it's very important that people try to engage each other, because, and especially in a time where we're having so much problems with differences when it comes to immigration, xenophobia, etc., that the church in particular, like the Bible says, to be a beacon of hope and light in the world of darkness, can be an example to others. So I think something positive that the Siemens Church is doing. Another thing I was gonna ask, does the Seaman Church have like any overseas churches like in Latin America, like in Puerto Rico or Mexico, or many parts of Latin America?
You know, the only church that we have is in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
Because of all the Norwegian sailors, it has been an important port of call, but it's being shut down as we speak. So they are trying to work in different ways. The church will be closed, and it's a sad thing because it's still important for the Norwegians there, but it's been difficult. But we see this more and more in different places, that the churches are being closed, and that the work has to be done in a different way. It's hard to assemble people in buildings like we used to.
Mm-hmm. And
we see the same thing in.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we see the same thing in LA as well, because our area is so vast, so people have to travel for maybe a couple of hours to get there, and that means they don't come to the church as often.
Yeah, I know that, especially with the pandemic, a lot of people find it difficult to get to church because it's harder to congregate. And especially the Hispanic community is very religious in general, traditionally. I think when the Hispanics are able to achieve spirituality and get in closer communion with God, I think it helps them to be better people, and also to be understanding of others, even if the other person's belief system could be different from what they believe. And I also think that as a church, in my opinion, should be its primary focus. Sorry, we got disconnected. Are you there?
In a way, it's a bit. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, sorry about that. The connection went off. As you were saying, it was,
Yes, I was just. It's just so interesting that you come to me and you want to talk about unity and fellowship and trying to get along even though we are different, because our church is like extremely ethnocentric, because it's a church made for Norwegians abroad, and we cater to different Norwegians, even if they are second or third generation, but our main focus is like Norwegian people and Norwegian culture, and maybe Scandinavian fellowship. But in doing that, I think our values are so much about including people and accepting differences, and trying to build a Christian community that is open to everyone, and that they can, you can be part of it without being you don't have to be a special kind of person to belong there. enough that you just come in the door and you want to have a cup of coffee, and then you're part of it. There are no requirements actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I believe that the church, regardless of ethnicity, language, or culture, if everyone is a believer, it doesn't matter what church it is. People should be welcome because, like Jesus said, there is no Greek or Jew. Everyone is part of the same body. Christ is the head of the church,
Yeah.
but the church is composed of all of the believers. So that is something that I believe is a universal concept, and I believe that that if churches, do what they can to be more welcoming towards others, even if they not be part of the same language group or ethnic group, I think that could help really, bring down tension because I feel that the church should not be divided, that it should be one, and I think that both communities engaging each other, I think slowly they can become one while at the same time, retaining their distinctive culture and language. Because there's nothing wrong with maintaining one's customs and traditions, but I feel that people need to work together and for a common cause, for the common good.
Yeah, and working as a pastor, it's always tempting to speak to people as if they are this extremely special select group, that we are the people closest to God's heart and closest to his will. But in doing so, you kind of make your own people and your own church to stand out on the wrong in the wrong way. I think it's so important to
I definitely think it is.
making your own group more select and holy than it is. Instead, try to see that we're all God's children, but we have different ways of expressing it.
Hmm. And I also wanted to ask, in your country of Norway, do you have a large or visible Hispanic population, and how is the Hispanic population in Norway?
I lost you. I didn't
Okay,
hear it.
no, I was asking, as far as Norway is concerned, your country, do you have a large Hispanic population, or is it visible, and how is the Hispanic people in Norway in relation, like to Norwegian culture or to Norwegian people? That's my question.
We don't have a large Hispanic population. We have had some people coming from Peru and some people from Chile. And then there are some Spanish immigrants, often married to Norwegians. So our main Spanish connection comes through traveling to Spain, because Spain is like the number one holiday destination for Norwegians.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a large part of Norwegian ethnicity.
Mm-hmm. Okay. The reason why I ask, because I have seen different videos on what is Norwegians' perceptions of Latin Americans, and a lot of people tend to associate Latin America like with baseball, football, or hot weather. It's like they don't really know too much about the people or the history of Latin America. Same thing with Latin Americans. It's like I said before, most people associate anything that's Germanic with being associated with, Germany. Like I remember when I met my fiance, who's Norwegian, I actually thought she was German because when I saw the Norwegian writing, the words kind of look similar to German. So that's one of the things I like to do is educate myself about other cultures and to learn about them. And I think it's been a positive experience for me. Hopefully once the pandemic goes, I will love to visit Norway. I think it's a very nice country. I like the system of government. I like their system, how it's very equal in terms of human rights, civil rights, and I think it's something that I think Spanish United and Latin America can learn from.
Yes, I think equality is important for people to have self-respect, and I think it's also a part of what I said earlier, that I don't like it when people think of themselves as specially select or a special group. And I think men and men can also have the feeling that they have a higher sense of worth. And if you're, like me, I'm a white, heterosexual, well-educated white man, then it's important to know that there are reasons why this has happened. It's not something that's it's not up to me. It's because I was born at a special time in a special place, and I should see this as a blessing and a possibility to do some good, and not to see it as a sign that I have a special worth, or that my group is a special select group.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think that's good in the Norwegian system, that it gives us some kind of humility. Although if you ask people from Sweden, I'm not so sure they say Norwegians are especially humble.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, from what I know of Norway, is like from what I know from my fiance, from her family. I've met a few people. From my interactions with them, I think they do believe in equality, and they don't see themselves as people that are like special. Unlike a lot of people in America that believe in manifest destiny and the Monroe Doctrine. But um, I would say that when people grow up in an egalitarian society, regardless if it's Norway or Australia or wherever, I think when people uh, believe that everyone is the same, and even though people may have their differences or whatever, but everyone works together, I think it helps create a form of unity. I think one of the biggest problems that the United States has, which kind of led to its downfall in many areas, is the issue of individualism. And that could cause a lot of problems in the sense that people become selfish, people become like nobody else matters. I'm the only one that's important. And from what I've seen from that way of thinking, that it creates chaos and the lack of unity. I feel that as Americans or Hispanics, become more egalitarian and learning more that you can see your brother, as someone that could help you instead of seeing them as a competitor. I think it could bring a lot of healing and unity. Because I had another podcast with another lady that mentioned that you have certain cultures that when someone comes, from another country, to here that are part of the same group, instead of seeing them as a competitor or someone as that could take business from you, if you help him up or help her up, it also benefits you. So that's how they benefit each other. Like that's what I see with the Chinese, for example, here in the United States. But Latin Americans or Hispanic, when they come here, it's like I don't know what happens that their values tend to go away. I don't know because of the economic necessity or struggling to survive. But I feel that if Hispanics learn, for example, like from the Norwegian people about egalitarianism, about it's not about me, but it's about the collective. I think it could help them not only become more unified, but at the same time, it could help them treat each other better. Because I feel that that is something that is lacking in the community is unity, and I feel that where there is unity, there is strength, and where there's strength, there is power. So I feel that learning from the Norwegian people, from what I've studied, because my background is in political science, and I studied a lot about the Norwegian system, all of the Nordic countries. I even spoke with the Nordic Council one time, uh, and I learned a lot about how to focus on in creating a society or a system that instead of punishing people all the time, yes, they should have some punishment if they do something wrong, but you know, how do you get them to learn from their mistakes and to rehabilitate themselves and return into society? And that is something that I think Hispanics could benefit from the Norwegian people.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. But uh, there is a lot of Norwegian individualism too, and when you come to Norway, it's easy to find friendly people, but it's hard to get invited to people's homes and to be like included in their friendship groups because there is this kind of Nordic solitude that influences us. So I think we have a lot to learn from Hispanic culture as well about this open and inviting spirit that people can just get together and like have a party or have a gathering without any special occasion. And also the family, that the big families can come together and celebrate. As in Norway, we tend to get divided into smaller groups. So we have a lot to learn socially, but maybe in the sense of government, I think maybe we have discovered something very
Hello, hello.
Hi. Did you
Yeah,
lose me?
yes. Yeah. I kind of lost you. Can you repeat that last part again, Osman? You were mentioning something about government.
Yeah, it's the I think maybe even if we have um, a good uh, kind of government, that the Nordic countries have come a long way in the sense of government. I still think we have a lot of ways to go in the social uh, arena, and
Hmm.
I think that's where we can learn a lot from Hispanic culture
Hmm.
about just coming together and being content just with being with our guys,
Hmm.
and then it's easier to participate. I think solitude is a big problem in Norway and in Nordic countries.
Yeah, that's what I've learned that in many of the Nordic countries, like you know Norway, Iceland, Denmark, Sweden, Finland, is like people to tend to be more in solitude. But I think a lot of it has to do because of the long winters, the fact that it's not very populated, so it's like people tend to be alone. So I think it's probably the environment that plays a part. But again, I do believe
Yeah.
that as Nordic people get more connected, like with Latin America in particular, they can learn more about being more with people, and at the same time, Latin Americans could learn a lot about discipline and also being organized in doing things. Because I think Nordic people, Scandinavian people, are like very meticulous when it comes to not only running their government but running their cities and towns. Like I've seen like videos and pictures of like Norway. It's like it's very clean, compared to many cities in Latin America or even in the United States. So I think that is something that I think Latin Americans, Hispanics in general, can learn and pick up. And I think
Yeah.
Norway being a neutral country, I think it could function as a bridge between the United States and Latin America. I really, see that in the near future.
Yeah, I think if I can, in my point of view, the combination of Norwegian and Hispanic is like a perfect match, because you can get the social and the fire from the Hispanic, and um, the brotherhood, and you can get the Norwegian coolness and meticulous way of organizing,
Mm.
and also the friendly approach, which it's not. I don't like to, if a culture is too macho, if you know what I mean.
Hmm.
I think one of the strong points in Norwegian culture is that it's not so macho. It's a little more laid back. So you
Right,
don't take things as, honor is not,
right.
uh, your personal honor is not so important.
Right. In Latin American culture, it is. And sometimes,
Yeah.
unfortunately, it could have very horrible consequences. That is something that I'm trying to do, is to educate Hispanic men to get away from that mindset, because that's one of the reasons why a lot of our men get incarcerated, is because they let that personal honor get the best of them instead of thinking, if I do this, there'll be consequences. So I think that's very important that Hispanics in general should not let honor take over everything. Yes, dignity, there's no problem having dignity and honor in terms of, you know, personal self-respect, but to go get revenge or try to make a point with someone, I don't think it's worth it. It's like even what Jesus said in the Bible, when someone hits you, turn the other cheek and just walk away. It's like, try to avoid a confrontation as much as you can. That I think that is a rule of thumb that I think, we need these days. And I think it's an example that I think Norwegians can give to Hispanic people.
Mm. That's it's a lot more relaxed if you don't feel like your honor is on stake all the time.
Hmm. Well, I wanted to tell you, Usman, thank you so much for being on the show. I learned a lot about Norwegian culture, Norwegian people, and as soon as I'm finished with the interview, I will send you the link via email. I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you. It was very interesting. Thank you.
Not a problem. Have yourself a wonderful day.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye bye.